welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day, better than the one that I had yesterday through the night. I am continuing on my migraine recovery video catch-up session. So this is another one that I really wanted to get to yesterday. This is Sue Bird talking about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and the playoffs. And I think she says some really interesting things here that we're going to dissect. Also, I think Sue has been pretty good overall, I think, about from day one about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA and what she could do. So I think you're going to get a little more true insight on Caitlin Clark in the game from someone like Sue Bird than you are from most people in regular media who cover them. So let's take a listen to what Sue Bird has to say with how things are going.
And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old.
Slow the pace.
Yeah. So
okay, right there, I just gotta comment on that because I think that it is. I mean, I know to a lot of people, there are people who might sound like common sense if you're just a sports junkie or you played sports all your life or what have you, but it's really, really insightful and very, very true. And no one had been talking about this, right? When I say no one, I've been talking about it. I think you've heard me talk about Indiana has to run all the time to be successful. And I'm not taking credit for that when I say me, and then I will say expanded to, people who are covering on Twitter, other YouTubers who cover this that aren't attached to traditional sports media that have been talking about this for a while, that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, to be successful, need to run. Excuse me. After the migraines, like right now, I can't get through like 30 seconds without my voice starting to go and getting scratchy. But so I thought that was really insightful. And also when she said the thing about the code word for, veterans and being a little slower, I just couldn't help but think of the U.S. Olympic team, like compared to the WNBA All-Star teams, which were a much younger team. And I think also when people talked about Caitlin Clark and the physicality and all that, Sue's 100% right. I mean, the running and getting out in transition and that pace that she plays with, which is faster than anybody in the league. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that Caitlin's the fastest player or the quickest player, but when you add the skill set and the basketball IQ and the willingness and being able to keep herself under control at that pace, that is what's so amazing. That is the differentiator between her and anybody else who tries to run. By the way, I got to give credit. Look, for those of you that don't know, I'm also like a big time. I mean, I love all sports, but and soccer is one of them, which is unlike a lot of Americans. It's like basketball, football, baseball, maybe some hockey. And I've been a follower of the U.S. women's national team for a long time. I've actually been to practices. I am not a Rapinoe fan, and it's not politics. I just think she's a very, very unlikable person. But again, always trying to be fair. Like in that part right there, she found it funny. She's the one that made the comment about slow the pace. I thought it was funny. I think in this whole segment, I have no issue with what she says in this at all. So I'll give her a shout out for that. I think she's good in this.
I feel like
I know that's why you guys were so good for those
in
years.
2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra, was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlin, what I see in Kelsey Mitchell, they're just like ramming it down people's throats. And it's really hard. It can have your head spinning.
One thing real quick that she made me think of there is that she talked about her championship teams and how they ran. In general, what we're seeing in the WNBA, and one of the issues with it as from an entertainment value perspective, is that there isn't a lot of that, right? The players that can run on other teams, it shows off sides of their game that are more appealing and more entertaining for fans to watch. Whereas pure half court games, like say that Connecticut game the other night that was on the one they played in the TD Garden and put on Twitter, so boring. And when the two teams walk the ball up the court like that in the WNBA, you realize the skill issue, and it's boring to watch.
So yeah, as I mentioned, Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a constant record break.
Yeah,
the only thing that I find most interesting is at the start of the season, everybody had their panties in a twist over Caitlin getting picked up full court and Caitlin being denied. And I think what I'm not surprised by is naturally during a WNBA season, teams and players, you start to get a little tired. You're kind of in like the doldrums of the every day or every other day is a game. And it's hard to keep that discipline to guard a player like that.
Now, before she keeps going on the only thing so far, I think in this whole thing, but at least up to this point, the only thing where I have a real issue with Sue Bird, and it irks me because, again, it's trying to feed into that whole narrative about Caitlin Clark fans were upset that people were actually guarding her and they weren't just allowing her to do everything she wants to do. And that simply wasn't true. I didn't care that she was guarded full court. I get it. I mean, I think it revealed the lie and everyone saying that she wasn't that good and that she was struggling early in the season, because if she was, why is your entire defense designed to stop Caitlin Clark? And I had issues with the things like Kennedy Carter and the other hard, quote unquote, so-called fouls that were being put on Caitlin Clark that weren't getting hauled. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a basketball player take hard shots to the head as often as Caitlin Clark did early in the season, right? Or Vivens with punching her for Seattle after she makes a three for no reason whatsoever. That is the stuff people had issues with. And the one with the All-Star game and Kelsey Plum, I mean, I think the real reason it got so much play was how it ended with the give and go in Boston and then that unbelievable pass. But the full court thing, it's just that everyone found it really, really funny because the coach of the other team, Cheryl Reeve, wasn't taking Caitlin Clark to the Olympics, but she was going to have to, despite being one of a whole team of all-stars, she was going to pick up Caitlin Clark full court.
So I'm not surprised it dropped off. But what do you know? She's no longer getting picked up full court in the ways that we like teased Ari McDonald for when she did it after a free throw and she still had another free throw. But what you're seeing is Caitlin now is able to push the ball up the floor. She's able to hit those get-ahead passes.
Yeah.
And so I won't be surprised if as the season gets later into like playoff runs, if you start to see teams do more, and you're definitely going to see it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But everybody, that's why you had to pick Caitlin up full court.
Yeah.
This is.
By the way, there you go. And that's a great point by Sue. What people weren't understanding is no one wanted to admit why they were defending her that way. Instead, everyone's saying that she's not good, and that was the narrative that they were going to go with. But they were doing it because if she was allowed to get up the court, if she was allowed to get in transition and she got comfortable with teammates who understood what she could do with the ball and they got out in transition, like she mentioned Kelsey Mitchell, and it's not just Kelsey. It's a lot of Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey's a guard. She should be the first one up the court. But, Nalissa Smith, even Aaliyah Boston, it was Fag Bentley early in the season. You get them all on the same page and run, and you can forget about it as you're seeing now. That let me tell you something. The Indiana Fever are what in the last I forget number of games. Completely slipped my mind. Let me know if you know. I want to say like 10 even. They're like maybe second in the league in scoring. You're seeing them consistently get 90 plus, and that's being done when they have like a quarter, sometimes even 2+ quarters of struggling offensively. They're still hitting 90 plus because they're getting 32, 33 points in one single quarter each game. Because when they get out, forget about it. You're in trouble.
is why.
This is why.
The numbers she's putting up now, like, this
Y'all
is
stopped
why.
and now she broke the record.
Yeah, everyone
for
was like
assist in a
mad
season
about
for
it.
a
I was like,
rookie.
I don't get it. That would be like, I don't
Yeah.
even know what it would be like.
Yeah.
It'd be like letting Kevin Durant shoot pull-ups all day. It's like, no.
Can't do it, y'all.
Yeah, I just,
do it.
yeah.
She's
So I don't know
also
why I
like
picked that
figuring
example,
it
but-
out and settling in. She
Oh, she's definitely
also
figuring it out.
got a little rest.
Oh,
got a
another
little
thing, by
break.
the way,
That was
I
nice.
never thought Caitlyn wasn't strong. That was actually something I noticed in college. Like, she had a strength about her. Will she get stronger and will that help her? Yeah. I think it was more just getting used to the hits and the physicality and like what refs are going to call, what they're not going to call. And you've seen her adjust in that way too. Like, she got blocked pretty bad by Ezzy, took a little bit of a splat. And like, yeah, I'm sure she was a little pissed, but she kind of got up, took the lick and got back.
Yeah.
To that point, I never got that either. I thought that was so weird. And by the way, there's a difference between the physicality of the sport and the stuff she was dealing with early in the season. But my goodness, people, look, Caitlin Clark's 6 feet tall. Okay, so she's not 6'3", 6'4", but she's 6 feet, 150, 155 of pure muscle. The girl has abs that pop, okay? She is lean and muscular. She's not going to look like a big bodybuilder, but if you're thinking a woman 6 foot tall, 150, 155 of pure muscle is not strong or can't withstand physicality, you've lost your mind.
You know, whereas earlier in the season, I think it would have impacted her a
Yeah.
little bit more. So
Just get used to
she's
it.
definitely getting used to it, which is, you know, trouble for everybody else. That's why I don't want to see her. I don't want to see Phoenix. Kalia Copper is balling.
Now, did you catch that at the end, which I thought was really cool? Because don't forget, folks, Sue Bird is an owner of the Seattle Storm, even after they just signed Gabby. Although now I can't say that this was, well, this is 20. I'm not sure if this was right before. This might have been before they signed Gabby, but she doesn't want to see Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever in the playoffs. But I just thought this was really good, and I wanted to share it because she said a lot of things that allowed me to take it into another direction or add something that hopefully you got a little bit out of and got a little more insight into. And look, again, this all goes back to being fair. Like, I saw somebody in the comments the other day going on this long rant about Angel Reese and how awful I am and I never say anything positive. And again, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know I have for things that I think she deserved praise for. Like I keep saying, her want to and ability to go get the ball in terms of rebounds, setting aside the whole right layup and offensive thing, because she gets a lot of defensive boards, and I'm not going to take that away from her. She does it well. Here, I'm not a Megan Rapinoe fan, but I thought she was very complimentary of Caitlin Clark in this. I wouldn't really expect her to be, from what I know of her. So shout out to her as well, because you know what, I'm sure both of them get like DMs and messages after this and texts and be like, everything you said about Caitlin Clark was positive. What are you doing? You can't do that. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about what Sue Bird's saying here, about the Fever running, about, hey, she doesn't want to face the Fever. What do you think it's going to be like come playoff time for the Fever? And do you think we can ever get Christy Size to let him run for 4 quarters? And I know that is someone mentioned, it's a tough ask with the number of minutes Boston, Mitchell, and Clark play, which I get. But if you crank up the running and you sit Caitlin Clark so she plays 32, 33 minutes instead of 37, 38, that extra running maybe more than offsets the couple of minutes of rest. And, hey, maybe we get Berger out there and see what she can do. She's a heck of a ball player. Do I know that she's going to be a heck of a player in the WNBA? No, because she hasn't been given a chance. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will talk to you later.